के धनिष प्रभु हरे कृष्णा दंडवत प्रणाम। प्रसाद प्रभु हरे कृष्णा दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Apna. Am I audible?
Yes, 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 you are audible. How are you?
Good. Yeah. Good. Hmm. Hare Krishna, Ananda Maji. Please accept my humble messages. Shukran.
Hare Krishna, just give me a minute.
Yeah, you take your time. I'm just welcoming you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, let's start. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। जय श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Welcome all to today's fifth session of Nectar of Instruction. Um, Yesterday we covered text 5, actually 5 and 6 are both together. Um, and now today we'll be taking up the text 6. And in yesterday's text we saw what are the three divisions which Sri Rupa Goswami is prescribing he's mentioning about these three categories of devotees, and Prabhupada says intelligently one should discriminate and take the association accordingly in order to apply the sixfold symptoms of love, loving exchanges. And this text 6 specifically is aiming and mentioning about how we should look upon a pure devotee. So let me share the screen. Okay, before sharing the screen, we can read the text and the translation, and then we go ahead. Yeah. दृष्टै स्वभावजनितैर्वपुषश्च दोषैर्न प्राकृतत्वमिह भक्तजनस्य पश्येत् गङ्गाभसां न खलु बुद्बुदफेन पङ्कैर्ब्रह्माद्रवत्वमपगच्छति नीरधर्मै. So here Rupa Goswami is mentioning this verse with actually an analogy. It's not always that only in the purport the analogy is being spoken about. In many of the verses in Shastra also they speak, they make us understand through some analogy. So let's see the word to word and then we can read the translation. So drishtai, that is seen by ordinary vision, and swabhava janitai, born of one's own nature, vapusha of the body, cha and doshai by the false, na not, prakritatvam, the state of being material, iha in this world, bhakta janasya of a pure devotee, pashyet, one should see. Ganga Bhasam of the Ganges river, na not, Khalu certainly, Budbuddha Fena Pankai by bubbles, foam and mud, Brahmadra Vatvam, the transcendental nature, Apagachati is spoiled, Nira Dharmai, the characteristic of water. Translation. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. So here, as a translation goes, the word goes, it's speaking very clearly. It's giving the analogy of Ganges, that during the rainy season how it becomes polluted and it has bubble and foam. Similarly, the Ganges water doesn't lose its potency, which is the actual characteristic of the Ganges water. Just because there is some impurities on the exterior, you can say, on the externally which we see, that doesn't pollute the Ganges river. Internally, it still stays as pure. And similarly, that's the analogy been given. Similarly, it's been the verse speaks that a Krishna conscious, a pure devotee, we shouldn't take his he should not be seen with a materialistic point of view in terms of his bodily defects or any other kind of material imperfections which we see in him, that shouldn't be considered. A pure devotee still remains a pure devotee, irrespective of all these propensities that are which being present. So let me share the screen now. This is from text 6 purport, page, which page is it? 61, where Prabhupada is saying Bhakti Yoga is a proper activity of the soul, and one actually engages in unalloyed, uncontaminated devotional service, he is already liberated. And Krishna's devotee is not subjected to material condition, even though his bodily features may appear materially conditioned. One should therefore not see a pure devotee from a materialistic point of view. This is from page 61. So we can, if somebody can do the whiteboard, I'm not sure if there is somebody or not to help with that. Who is there today?
Whiteboard.
Yes, Mataji, I'm just starting.
Okay. So the question is, list or brainstorm some examples in which in ISKCON we can view devotees from a materialistic point of view. You can maybe write the question if it is not, list the ways in which um, devotees in ISKCON can be viewed from a materialistic point of view. So any thoughts?
Mataji discriminate the devotees according to caste and creed.
Okay.
Brahman can give the preference to Brahmana. No. Can Mataji, can you please help me? We have to tell the negative points or what?
Yeah. List the ways in which we actually see devotees from a materialistic point of view. Yes, you're right. Okay, thank you.
Like Brahmachari and Grihastha.
Very
Shabash.
good.
Yes, indeed.
What else?
What about sannyasis?
Gender.
Okay.
So that's a big thing.
Mataji,
Very good. What else?
yes, Mataji.
Rich and poor.
Rastraman Krishna Prabhu, yes?
Yes, Mataji, I can say here, like at sannyasi level, like so many Maharajas in today's times are not well in order. They are diseased, like His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj. So, seeing their physical conditions, sometimes it happens that we underestimate their
Physical handicap.
physical handicap. Yes, of course, out of their physical handicap, we just underestimate their contribution to the ISKCON. So sometimes it's our fault. It's fault on our parts. So we should not see that. Internally, they are too strong. Internally, they are too strong. Externally, they might seem to us very weak, but internally they are really very strong. Like for example, I can take the example of my spiritual master, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He is right now 76 years old, and in spite of this over age, he is every day in the altar at 4:30 every day, wherever he is. So internally he is really very strong, but physically really he is weak. So this is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What else? How many participants do we have? 13. So if you take 3 out of them, so it's 10 remains. Okay, what else?
Mataji, often,
Mataji,
materialistic people think that devotees in ISKCON don't give too much importance to material education, or all they have to do is, do their rounds and not think of anything else.
So what's the point? I didn't actually.
I mean, they actually, the materialistic people actually think that, we think that material education or growing in life materially or having a good job is not very important to us. I mean, I'm not able to put it in right words, but I've heard, I've seen, I've experienced this myself. That you don't care about a job, you don't care about your basic social well-being or material well-being. All you care is that you are doing your rounds, or you always have, I don't know how to put it, maybe
like over detached, like they feel that we are over detached.
Yes, thank you Mataji. Maybe yes.
Okay. Okay.
And Mataji, one more point I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
contribute, that people often consider ISKCON as a fundraising society. They feel that we are only concerned about donations.
Mm-hmm.
Like 70% cover.
and related to this, Mataji,
I think sometimes preachers are given higher position as compared to other services like pujaris or those things. So everyone wants to become a preacher, but so I feel like from that point also we see from a materialistic point that services.
कर लूंगा मैं कर लूंगा 5 मिनट जाओ बाद में
Okay. I mean, the question is like among devotees, basically, how we see from a materialistic point of view a pure devotee, Okay, putting one service is more important than another. What else?
Mataji, can I say one more?
Mataji,
Yes, Rastraman Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, I have seen so many times like preachers in ISKCON at the local level in the temples, like president at the president level or vice president level or temple commander or senior preachers. They are sometimes going to preach some, high class people. Okay, so they have to go with them, they have to sit with them and do so many things. So sometimes it seems like they are over involved with so-called rich people and wealthy people, affluent people. So we just underestimate them. But it's whatever they are doing, it's just for the preaching, just to bring those people in the temple, just to bring those people to the Krishna consciousness only. So it's also one of the faults we do normally at the local level.
Yes. Thank you.
I was just thinking that somebody would be pointing towards the international character of our organization.
I was thinking, Prabhuji, that people call that this is a movement of Westerners.
Anyway, the whole India is becoming Western now. What the fuck of ISKCON?
So, Mataji, is the question only from the point of view of devotees, like amongst the devotees or
yes,
outsiders?
yes. Among the devotees,
It was like,
we have come now. We are touching Uttamadhikari, so we have left the outside world, as to say. Am I correct, Bimla Prasad Prabhu?
yeah, I was just thinking at least, I mean, maybe they can start thinking outside their purview daily. How about, yeah,
Okay.
how about an Indian discrimination on the basis of I would say like nationality, I would say. You have caste and creed, but it's a very local thing. But generally, what I see in ISKCON, discrimination based on nationality. Sometimes you might think that a person of a certain nation must be advanced by the dint of his nationality, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just being discreet. I'm not so candid.
Thank you. Okay.
Mataji, I
Yes.
have seen. I don't know. Is it related to this or what? But I have seen groupism also, guru groupism. That you are disciple of this, so this service should be given to you. Or
Shabash.
I have seen this, and this
Guru
also.
groupism.
Yes,
Yeah.
guru groupism.
No,
And one
like
more thing,
person who's
I
writing
have
it.
suffered from like that you are devotee from Odisha, you are devotee from Bengal, so they have their different group. I've seen these two, I faced
Yeah.
these two things also.
So you have seen
Particular
some
service
of
assigned.
you have seen some of ISKCON at least.
Okay. Yeah. Good point. Thank you. Okay. Tarun Prabhu, you can close this down, and then we'll go back to the PowerPoint. So I need to share the screen again. Okay. Krishna's devotee is not subjected to material condition, even though his bodily features may appear materially conditioned. One should therefore not see a pure devotee from a materialistic point of view. So this is in page 61. Yeah, it's in page 61. The purport. Okay. So we discussed this, how we view each other from the materialistic point of view. Okay, there's before we move ahead, we all have heard this story of Vasudeva leper, when he had this leprosy, and he used to put the worms back in his on his body, thinking that, oh, they will die. And when he heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had just left, and he missed his association, so he really wanted to see him. Then Mahaprabhu came in, and then he was like, no, 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 you shouldn't touch me, because I'm so abominable. And Mahaprabhu just wanting to come forward and wanting to embrace him, and he was going back, that no, but then Mahaprabhu went forward, and then he embraced Vasudeva, and all his leprosy was gone. So that's the Mahaprabhu could see like the intent of the devotion, and he didn't consider the bodily whatever condition of that devotee. The same also, one another time we have heard that when Sanatana Goswami had these sores on his body when he was traveling from uh, Navan to Puri, I guess, that time. So when he reached there, then Mahaprabhu, like he wanted to come and embrace him. Then Sanatana Goswami was like, no, like I'm not, fit to be embraced by you. But Mahaprabhu said, you're such a Mahabhavat. I'll be purified if I embrace you. So we can see from these examples that from our philosophy, from our scriptures, that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us the way how we should be dealing with a devotee, not from a materialistic point of view, the intent. So now what I wanted you all to do, how many participants are there? 12 only. So that's fine. Maybe you all can do on your own group exercise, but then Tarun Prabhu, you think you can split them in pairs or the whole class in the group of 3 or 2 or something like that? Maybe put the
Three.
class in 2, so that will be easier if whoever cannot even join. Okay.
Okay.
So sorry, is there anything you wanted to say?
Tarun Prabhu, kindly spare me out of the equation.
Yeah, he will not put you and
Yeah.
me.
Yes, possible.
That's why I said like 2 groups, so then it will be easier because there's less devotees here. With reference to pages 63 and 64 of this nectar of instruction, you read through that, and you list your findings of what Prabhupada is saying about the consequences of viewing the devotees from a materialistic point of view, and ways such viewing can be avoided. So there are 2 parts to this exercise. The first part is the consequences of viewing devotees from a materialistic point of view, ways such viewing can be avoided. So the class will be split up in two groups, and each group can work on this. And then you have got like what's the time now? It's 7:30. So maybe 12 minutes, 12-15 minutes should be enough.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Tarun Prabhu. And we'll get back to the rooms once you're done with the exercise.
In my book, if to please the paragraph which we are starting and ending.
Voice is breaking, so
Pages.
I cannot really understand. Uh, but page 63 and 64.
Mataji.
Yes. Your voice is not audible, Mataji.
I think the net connection is not good.
Yeah, maybe you can type your question on chat.
Mataji, shall I call the
Yeah,
devotee back?
yeah. Everyone is back?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So room 1 can go first.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
Should I start, Mataji?
Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji Dhanupana, may I?
Mhm. Go ahead.
Yes, Ruchi Mataji, are you going to speak?
Prabhuji, if go ahead.
Okay, no issue. Please start. Please start.
Mataji, in this answer to the first part is when one criticizes a pure devotee or sees them from a material point of view, he is committing an offense, which is a Vaishnava aparad, and it is considered like a mad elephant aparad, which destroys one's all accumulated good pious results of bhakti. And the second part of the answer is that we should not try to see Vaishnavas or our seniors on a material platform. We should not be jealous of them, and we should try to maintain a reasonable distance from them. It is said that we should not go very close to our seniors or Guru Maharaj, because then we have a tendency to see them from our material point of view and judge them on a wrong basis. And in the same way, we should not be very far off from them. For example, we should not be very far off from a sun that we tend to get into darkness, or we should not get very close to sun because we might get burned. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Yes, Mataji, should I say something?
Mhm.
Mataji, whatever we have gathered out of these 2 pages, it comes out that we should avoid Vaishnava aparadhs. We should remain quite alert of committing Vaishnava offenses towards Vaishnavas. And if we do so, then definitely even a neophyte devotee uh, by gradually practicing devotional activities can rise to Mahabhagavad level even. So Vaishnava aparadhs are the main things we have gathered from this understanding. Gaurav Prabhu can say something.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, I think like all the points that we discussed are covered. So nothing new to add. So these are the things that we discussed in the group.
Okay, why? Okay, and so the water, like the second part was ways such viewing can be avoided. So how would we avoid this kind of viewing with devoted stuff?
Prabhupada Mataji clearly writes here that we should instead of focusing on the external features or external appearance of the pure devotee, we should focus on the internal and the dedication of that pure devotee towards devotional service. And Prabhupada clearly mentions that there should be no envy or jealousy from pure devotee. And one more thing that Prabhupada writes is that we should focus on giving them proper respect. Because if we don't do all of these things, then if it's a neophyte, then there's going to be no progress. And if an advanced devotee falls into all of this, then the fall down is for sure. Because of the offenses that are going to be committed while doing all of this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just that.
Yeah.
And one thing, sorry to interrupt, Mataji, before I forget. One thing that Prabhupada writes is we should not give any advice to a pure devotee. They are not subject to any disciplinary actions. And one more thing that there is no advice, no disciplinary action. It's right here, I forgot. And we should not correct them. These are the 3 things that Prabhupada writes in, finishing the purport.
Yeah. So you were in room 2?
I think I was in room 1, Mataji.
I
Okay,
think so.
so what are the room two people doing? They have anything to say?
Mataji, we were in room 2 and we have spoken. I think Ruchi Mataji has spoken, Gaurav Prabhu has spoken. And one more thing I would like to say, following Priya Satyabhama Mataji, jealousy is the most important thing. Because of this jealousy only we are in this material world. So by doing Nityam Bhagavad Sevya, by chanting the holy names of the Lord, we should try to overcome this jealousy feature, which is the main problem of the Baddha Jivas. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, and I mean, what to speak of being jealous with RP is like that's why Prabhupada specifically written here. This Krishna conscious movement is a transcendental science, and there is no room for jealousy. So if and the same, then we extend that to the pure devotee also, that being jealous. Okay, they have got this, and not why not me? And and also sometimes it's um like when we do any mistakes, I mean, we always seek, I would say, some forgiveness. Yes, like, okay, Krishna, let me not be punished this time, and we want ourselves to be always how you say, be forgiven for the act. But when the same thing, when we see others doing, then we're like, how could he or she get away with this, and that kind of thing. So that is also like in part of, you can say, jealousy, uh, that why not me, why he's now he or she should be punished for this, they did like this. So those kind of mentalities have to be avoided if you want to really prosper uh, in our devotional life. Just one second, this in chat.
Mataji, may I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Like we are discussing jealousy, and jealousy is the most important element in our life. And we are faced with this problem every day, every time. What to talk of material world, even in spiritual world, in temples with association of the devotees, we are faced with this problem. So you are quite mature in devotional service. So I would like you to please throw some light, more practical hints, practical tips on how to overcome this jealousy feature.
Well, it depends on, of course, each individual what comes through. But in general, when we say that, uh, uh, like, how we can you repeat your question, what you said, that
I just want you to give us some practical tips on how to overcome this jealousy. Even in Prabhupada's time, his god brothers used to be quite jealous of Prabhupada.
yeah,
Even
yeah,
at
that's what
even at
Prabhupada is
that time,
mentioning
even at
in,
that time. So what to talk of this time when we are progressing more and more in the
well,
age of Kali?
that time, I mean, when Rupa Goswami wrote these verses from Mahaprabhu, it was some 500 some years ago. So it all existed from a very, very long time. Um, I would say, like, uh, we have to think that each one of us have our own, um, how you say, like, karma, and we are here for whatever that respective place or family or situation because of our own, rather than blaming somebody else, rather than blaming people and situations. If we take that part apart from our lives, blaming people and situation and circumstance, I think we will be able to get a very clear picture of ourselves, why this is happening. So you see, that's in general, anywhere, be it your materialistic life or in your spiritual life. So I would say that is a very good parameter to keep ourselves, understand that where do I stand, and how far I need to go more. Whatever we are, it's because of our own thing. And actually, only by the mercy of Krishna and devotees, we have got this kind of association to, uh, you know, explore and correct ourselves and advance. And it is a wonderful opportunity being given to still, rather than taking that positive side of that opportunity, we are still, how you say, just hooked on to all the our conditionings, and just kind of uh, fanning that, rather than actually mm, thinking about the opportunities which we have got and how we should be working upon ourselves to move ahead.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bimla Prasad Prabhu, you want to say something? uh,
Well, this topic actually, in my observation, whatever I have come across, I mean, quite a few times as a as a facilitator also, and mostly as a casual observer. I think in many places, in many yatras, especially like the place where I stay in Delhi, this whole concept of Vaishnava Aparadha is highly.
you're muted, Prabhu.
Sorry, I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Uh, all I have to say is that like the yatra where I belong to, Delhi yatra, uh, I mean, apart from being like at times when I have facilitated this unit and as a casual observer, uh, I think this whole, not think, this is my pretty like informed opinion, that this entire issue of Vaishnava Aparadha is highly misunderstood, if not, uh, I mean, misrepresented. Uh, Mostly devotees I have come across, and in my during my conversations and discussions, when I ask many people like, what do you understand by the term Vaishnava Aparadha? How many Vaishnava Aparadhas are there? The things which are related to this. Mostly I don't get a satisfactory answer. So I feel that unless and until you understand what you're talking about, precisely might not be in a position to judge whether it is actually a Vaishnava Aparadha and what is what. So it's like according, I understand Vaishnava Aparadha as per the definition of Skanda Puran. It says there are 6 kinds of Vaishnava Aparadha. So first and foremost, we have to see that whether they fall into these categories. And then the key to the Vaishnava Aparadha, or any Aparadha, is the intent. So that intent is a very personal thing, very individual, and the individuals will have to uh, basically analyze for themselves what they are up to. I mean, one can be defensive and be uh, uh, like, and can always defend his position, but it's between us and Krishna, so that Krishna knows and we know what is our intent. And to one of the factors being envy, uh, it is a very prominent factor, and as Rastraman Krishna Prabhu also pointed that out, will be a formidable challenge. But in my my view, whatever experience, I think the best solution is, in that sense, if to figure it out, if we don't really have a problem with Krishna. If we don't really have a problem with Krishna, so then in that environment, the temple environment especially, they can come, they can take their darshan, say their prayers, do whatever devotional activity they're supposed to do, and be done with it, and should not be staying around in the temple. And because then temple, otherwise, in my opinion, temples, ISKCON temples can be very dangerous places for neophytes. So temples, in temples, if you're loitering around in the temple aimlessly, without any service, and you're bound to bump into people, who are of similar creed, or you might, like have idle time and little understanding of what's going around. Sometimes right, sometimes wrong. I'm not saying that ISKCON temples are all pure Vaikunthas. They are not. Let me be very clear about it. They are not. So, but it's us who can contribute to making a Vaikuntha environment or destroying that environment. So, if we find that we are done with whatever we are here to do, best thing is to move out. And then, of course, outside also with the same thing. If I have, if there is a problem with Krishna, then I don't know what to do. But if there's no problem with Krishna, we don't have a problem with Krishna so much. So that, if you focus directly on Krishna, that's better. You don't like devotees, fine. Like Krishna, focus on Krishna. Maybe gradually you start liking somebody. It's easier to like devotees who are not there physically with us anymore, like Prabhupada or the previous acharyas, because we are not on the receiving end generally. So it's easier to do that. So maybe next step might be the previous acharyas, and then gradually go up to some Uttamadhikari or devotees who we seldom interact with. So if we don't interact much, we don't see much, we don't become critical of them. So that's the third, maybe the third stage, and gradually see somebody just like that. Then maybe once Diksha Guru, then maybe Siksha Guru, if there are any. Like, like work your way down from the top. It's easier. Start from Krishna and then work your way down is easier rather than seeing the person sitting by like next to me. It's very difficult.
Thank you for these practical tips. Uh, yeah, there are many ways we can work things out, so that we are on the right track. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Any other question, or the group two wants to say something, or we can move?
Group 2 is done, Mataji.
Okay. Okay, fine. So here, so like Priya Satyabhama Mataji was mentioning, I share the screen. Just give me 1 minute. Here, Prabhupada says a very, very important point, that it is one is forbidden to observe the activities of a pure Vaishnava from a material point of view. For the neophyte, especially, considering a pure devotee from material point of view is very injurious. And that's why Prabhupada is saying one should therefore avoid observing a pure devotee like externally, but should try to see the internal features and understand how he is engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord. In this way, one can avoid seeing the pure devotee from a realistic point of view, and thus one can gradually become a purified devotee himself. See, we have to see like this analogy of Mother Ganges was given. I mean, like the translation was saying that even if there is any mud or foam or bubbles, but still it's considered pure. Why? Where? Why it is still pure? Like if somebody takes bath or sprinkles the
Could you
water.
please repeat the question?
Like in the translation, it was mentioned that Mother Ganges, though even though it has sometimes we see filthy water with foams and bubbles, still it is considered as pure. Why?
Because Mataji, Mahabhagavad is at such a level that is a faith in the devotional service or Krishna is quite steady, fixed. So he never sees any kind of impurity, even if that is present. Internally, he is so much situated. That's why.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Gaurav Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Am I audible?
Yes.
So, Mataji, I feel like, not I feel, I just want to say like Ganges has come from the lotus feet of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lord is like supreme pure, like nothing can impure him. It is, Prabhupada has given the example of sun also. Like sunlight goes to clean water, even to the stools, urines, and everything. But whatever it goes, it just purifies it. It just like cleans the, it just purifies, but it doesn't consider. Similarly, the Ganges water, which is coming from, which is actually a Charnamrit of Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So it is also, it cannot be, it is non-different from Lord itself. Like I think Rupa Goswami or Sanatan Goswami has told Ganges as Rabhibhita Brahman, aisa kuch, like liquefied Brahman, something like that. So which is non-different from Lord. So in that manner we can see like Ganges, it is not getting into.
Thank you, Gaurav Prabhu. Very wonderful. Yes, like the Mother Ganges is directly coming from the lotus feet of Krishna, and it's deriving its authority from the Lord, and the backing is from Lord Himself, right? So then, even when we see these kind of external appearances which come sometimes and go by, so one shouldn't be consider it that that should not be an hindrance to consider that as an impurity, or and the same is we can extend towards the pure devotees, because the backing is Krishna. That's why they're still pure in spite of these material impurities which we see. Rukmini Hari Sevani Mataji, yes, what's your question?
Which am I audible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Mataji, I raised hand to answer the question that how we see the Ganges, why a see. So we just see the spiritual identity. We see the spiritual thing. So we can materially, if it see outwardly, then we can see that it's just a water or just a river. So if we see the spiritual potency, then only we can have it, or we can this is the reason that you asked the question, that why we stay sorry Mataji, same with the Mahabhagavad thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Aradhya Gadadhar Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Am I audible?
Yes.
I mean, Mataji, in this, we can give the same analogy that Prabhupada gives for Vrindavan, as you said, that Vrindavan outside it might appear there's a lot of dirt and auto rickshaw and all this. No, I mean, not very clumsy also, but still it is as potent as when Krishna was himself there. So externally, you might not able to see that, but internally, all the all of spiritual world, all Vaikuntha, planet of Narsimdev, Varade, everything is there in this Golok Vrindavan. So this is one thing, and other thing, Mataji, I had some one or two questions also in this regard. Like we took the
Mm-hmm.
example of Ganga. So
Mm-hmm.
especially in relation to Mother Ganga, I had some questions like that Pratipa, father of Shantanu Maharaj. So when he was meditating on the bank of the Ganga, so I mean she came and sat on the right thigh of Pratipa. So I mean it's a bit bewildering that what was the reason for her doing the same. So I mean if you could throw any light on this thing.
Um, See, sometimes we can see such kind of things happening, but when we see those kind of incidents, we have to see that what made that happen, rather than an activity, what was the situation which made that happen. So and still, those personalities are considered pure. Like for Draupadi, she had uh, 5 husbands. But we have to see sometimes, when somebody is higher, how they become higher? By following a higher law. A higher law is followed when you surpass the lower one, the normal one. So that's something like that. Sometimes we have to see the situation, what made that work, and still they actually uh, remain pure. Yeah.
Yeah, Mataji, I mean in such cases, of course, this thing came to my mind also that there might be some circumstances in this regard. And if you also see the example of when it happened in the Swarga Loka, when I mean, Ganga Mata was there and Shantanu Maharaj, whose name was Mahavish or something like this king, and because of the wind, her sari flew away, and they both exchanged glances, and then they were cursed, or I don't know, curse would be the right word, but they were told by Brahma to go down. So, I was just trying to, imagine that what be the circumstances that led to this thing happening. Some places we are able to perceive the circumstances, very vividly. But in this particular case, it can't be, perceived in a very, very vivid manner. So therefore, I got a bit confused.
Vimla Prasad, you have to say something. You raised your hand.
I mean, yeah, as you said, that actually what you said uh, is actually the correct order of seeing things, and in the order of seeing things, or in the order of setting things straight, uh, the path and I would say the Siddhanta, the philosophy chalked out by our previous acharyas are always the guiding light. There are so many instances like that. That in this particular case, when Prabhu was mentioning about Prathipa and Ganga's interaction, and then as a result of that, Shantanu became his husband and not Prathipa. So we have to understand that what we are discussing here is Mahabharata, and any scriptures, like not just Mahabharata, but all the other Puranas also taken together, or the whole corpus of Vedic literature. Uh, um, the spectacles what we need to read or understand those is through the lens of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and that's precisely why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as I said, to see it from the purview of our previous acharyas, and they draw, and that's why it is for even for the six Goswamis, Nana Shastra Vichara Nipuna Sad Dharma Sanstapaka. So, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this very specific uh, like direction that these two books are our guiding light, Bhagavad and Bhagavad Gita. Of course, he also gave other books like Brahma Samhita, Krishna Karnamrita, for instance, and other books. But these two are theirs because they are the ones which can keep the trajectory of our spiritual life on the right course, despite many such quote unquote controversial or unexplicable occurrences as we see in the Shastra. These particular instances, as we see, again, are not very much, relevant so far the practice of Krishna consciousness is concerned. Therefore, our previous acharyas didn't give much stress or emphasis on many pastimes which we see in the Shastra. For instance, not just Mahabharata, but even the Puranic pastimes. Those pastimes which are directly helpful and related to advancement of Krishna consciousness are the ones which have been mentioned and highlighted by our previous acharyas. There is a reason for that. That's the reason. But these other pastimes, they might be they are intended exclusive. They are actually intended for a different kind of audience. For like devotees, for practicing devotees, may not derive much advantage from many pastimes like that. Rather, they might be at a disadvantage. Just like Mahabharata. Yeah, just like Mahabharata itself. Krishna, the personality, as we know, like Mahabharata is in a way also like specifically written for Shudra and lesser kind of people, less intelligent people, as we understand. But at the same time, we see reading Mahabharata, people generally do not come to the conclusion on who is the hero of Mahabharata. So the reason being, unless and until we see Krishna through the lens of Bhagavatam, there is no way one can come up to this conclusion that the hero of Mahabharata is Krishna and not Arjuna, or for that matter, anybody else. So in the same way, all the Puranas, what is the purpose of those pastimes? Just like in Chaitanya Chaitamrita also, in Madhya Lila, while discussing with Sanatana Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically points out a few, quite a few pastimes in Krishna Lila, which are actually meant for the non-devotees, not meant for devotees. So for example, as I remember the verse, it says about Maushali Lila, that's meant for non-devotees, not for devotees. It's like, so, and others like Krishna getting killed. So, and other pastimes, he gives a list there, a small list there in Chaitanya Chaitamrita. So that's why we need to be very closely following in the footsteps of our previous acharyas, very closely to get the Siddhanta. Once we are adept with the Siddhanta, we can see any pastime and can see the intent behind it, rather than getting caught in by the nitty-gritties of the pastime. It cannot bewilder such devotees who are strong in Siddhanta. That's all I have to say.
You are muted, Aradhya Gadadhar Prabhu.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I mean, wonderful, Praji. I mean, very thankful to you for, this words of wisdom. I mean, it was really appreciable. I got my answer, but just, one thing in this regard, same, like we know that Mahabharata is meant for Shudras, and I mean, not for, especially it's not considered that much, not preferred for the, Vaishnavas, or especially the advanced Vaishnavas.
I didn't say that it's not Vaishnava or the Vaishnavas.
I mean,
Prabhupada, in fact, in the first canto of Bhagavatam, extensively refers to Mahabharata. But at the same time, it's like, as we understand, Madhvacharya gave a commentary on Mahabharata. So it's not that it's not, Bhagavad Gita itself is part of Mahabharata. But like the Mahabharata has to be seen in the totality in the light of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita to have clarity. Like, because after all, it is Itihas. So therefore, you jump directly to Mahabharata, which people generally do. That's why we say, as you can see, like there's such a mammoth expenditure and effort made to produce Mahabharata in the 80s. Again, now we see Mahabharata happening. But so far, these versions of Mahabharata is concerned, not many people are left with the conclusion that Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam. So that actually defeats the very purpose of those, productions. I mean, it may be good for like some piety. It might certainly it creates an awareness, but at the same time, it also creates a very thick jungle misconceptions that needs to be, like that makes our job in a sense quite formidable. Actually,
Yeah, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, in this regard, like we hear that Mahabharata is meant for,
I think the floor is for Anand Lila Maji.
Yeah.
It's like you can speak at another time.
Sure,
And
sure,
I will
sure,
be
sure,
eating
sure,
up from
sure,
her
Prabhuji.
time. I'm here
Sure,
to
sure, sure.
listen to her words of wisdom. It's like should be keeping I intend to keep a low profile.
No, that's fine. Thank you for your contribution.
I thank you, Maji, for your blessings.
Thanks. Okay, so yeah, so Prabhupada is mentioning that it's very injurious for a neophyte, and he's again and again mentioning that we need to look at the internal how the devotees engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So rather than seeing all these base our viewing on externals, like we discuss the caste, creed, and nationality, and body limitations. So we need to take all that, keep aside, and look at into the internal transcendental loving service of the Lord that's been that devotee is being engaged in. And uh, she was mentioning that that in the end Prabhupada speaks about he is not to be treated as a ordinary person, and here towards the end, Prabhupada is explaining an empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being. For it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. I mean, this topic also came in that many of his godbrothers had, concerns that, he's been making Western people as disciples. But Prabhupada is saying that an empowered person is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord, and he shouldn't be treated as an ordinary being. And unless one is empowered, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. And here we can see Prabhupada was surely an empowered person. Otherwise, at that physical age, you can say, in which all of our body parts are kind of not functioning to their full extent as they used to, and to do a worldwide some spectacular preaching mission of Krishna consciousness, that to whoever has never ever have has done that, taking that as his life and soul towards the end of his lifetime. So he was surely an empowered, and going through so many physical difficulties and also social difficulties when he reached to the foreign land. We can see and feel actually um, that how much empowered he was uh, with Krishna, because Krishna, like we were saying, that like Krishna is that why Ganges is pure, because she has got a backing from Krishna. So that's what we can see. Prabhupada had a backing. He was an empowered person because Krishna was with him, and he empowered him to do all these activities. So that is something commendable at that age and at that time, to have. Nowadays things are much easier in that sense, like you can very easily make a call to America, UK, or any part of the world. But I'm just saying, for example, just to connect with someone. But like 50 years ago, 70 years ago, it wasn't like that. It was a big challenge. So having things done, he was surely an empowered Vaishnava. to spread this Krishna consciousness all over the world. Actually, some of us who are preachers or who will be preachers, when we preach this Krishna consciousness to new people, we have experienced that how difficult it is at times to convince people of Krishna consciousness that this is the right thing to do, and to make a worldwide movement. That is definitely, he was an empowered um, Vaishnava. And here Prabhupada actually in the property says that we very much regret the naive activities and poor fund of knowledge that, they treat the empowered Vaishnava as a ordinary human being. So yeah. And also, like, this was brought up by Priya Satyabhama Mataji, that it is also an offense to consider an empowered Vaishnava an object of disciplinary action. It is offensive to try to give him advice or to correct him. One can distinguish between a neophyte Vaishnava and an advanced Vaishnava by their activities. So you can see, that's again, it's speaking the same thing. Rather than judging them by the externals, we need to see what kind of service they have done and they have been doing, um, in the devotional life, and that has to be, that is to their credit, and that's what we have to honor them for, not for any of the, because see, this material body will have something or other, someone will have some problem, because that's the nature of this world. Even if somebody is very very fast, efficient and everything, but still there's a limitation of time. See, you have got, everybody has got only 24 hours. So if we do more, then the health goes down. There's something always there. So that's how this world is made of. So there will be always something which is missing. So we shouldn't be focusing on that external, rather focusing on the internal, which Prabhupada is mentioning, that look at the devotional activities that pure devotee has performed, and try to serve him. And that's that's how we can see how a empowered Vaishnava is, Uttamadhikari is. Okay. And in the end, we can again go back to the text 5 of Updeshamrita's purport, like yesterday also we discussed this, where Prabhupada opened this text 5 purport saying that in order to intelligently, so Prabhupada wanted us to be intelligent, not like dull, huh? So this is discrimination is not offense. Okay, in order to intelligently apply the sixfold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with careful discrimination. And Sri Rupa Goswami therefore advises that we should meet with the Vaishnavas in an appropriate way according to their particular status. Yes, Tarun Prabhu, you have a question?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, as can you scroll to the previous slide?
This one?
Yes. So what I was thinking, that what it was mentioned, I think in the prior slide, that without the mercy or the potency of Lord, one cannot preach the message. One cannot become empowered. Like
So what we do? What? This slide?
Can you go to the prior slide? Previous one. Yes, like unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. So it's similar to that Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Pravartana. So that without the potency of Lord, one cannot do. But we see that like even this Ritvik movement, it is spreading like anything. Like it is also growing. So they are also preaching under the same name, and they are also growing. So are they also empowered by Krishna, or is it like how Shankaracharya was had a special mission, although he considered. So how can we understand that they are also empowered by Krishna, or what is Krishna's plan in having a movement?
It's not Krishna's plan. What's that verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is saying the way you surrender, the way you
ये
surrender,
था ये
that's how
था
prapadyante. So, the whatever we want and Krishna awards that. If we want to do it that way, then, and why are we in these material bodies, first of all? Because this is what we wanted and we desired, and that's what we are here, right? Is the same thing. You just extend to that, because that's how they want it to be, and Krishna has given them that kind. I mean, why anybody's even even after you may have preached, sometimes we preach, okay, you should be following four regulative principles. Not that everybody we preach, they just start following four regulative principles. Some still are doing nonsense whatever they were doing. Why? Because that's what we want to do. And then we if we say that, oh, why even after listening they are not following that, that's where the free will is. You have been given, and then okay, this is what you want to do, then just go ahead and just, then we're just going to be in the circle again and again in the same thing. That's all I have to say.
but I see that in some aspects they are even doing better than ISKCON. Like I have seen some aspects. I was in Hyderabad. I saw those people. They were doing like even like in centers, not even in temples. They were doing so much book distribution, like working people and prasadam distribution, not book distribution, prasadam distribution. They were taking out Harinam regularly, and then they were preaching. And even they have done tie-ups with many big organizations like Infosys. They have done tie-ups, and they are now opening restaurants in Delhi. I've seen the restaurants like
I
Annapur
know.
is coming up, and they have opened at many places. So I think they are doing even better than what we are able to do. So it gets difficult to understand this kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's to their credit, or you can say. Yes, Prabhu, you want to say something? Bimla Prasad Prabhu.
Uh, yeah, I tend to agree with uh, both you and Tarun Prabhu. Tarun Prabhu being uh, bringing out what's going on the very physical plane, and you bringing out how on the transcendental plane it is being played out. So again, the same thing. It's not how big or how small you are. It's like how close you are to Krishna consciousness. Size never mattered. So otherwise, Krishna would never say Manushyanam Sahasresh. And on the other hand, Krishna, whenever he says, Mama Tejo Amsha Sambhavam, Yad Yad Vibhutumat Sattvam, it says in Bhagavad Gita. So whatever power, whatever strength, whatever influence we see in this world, we must acknowledge that behind that it is Krishna. Now, Krishna's energy should be used back in the service of Krishna. So now, who is doing better or worse? That's not exactly. I think ISKCON as an organization has committed the same mistake by thinking like Gaudiya Math is not doing so good as we are doing. And now we have got this Akshay Patra, which is like, like it's the whole philosophy boomerangs at us. And therefore we are confused. So it's like a few minutes ago, Aradhya Gadadhar Prabhu was quite emphatically basically bringing out how Prabhupada's God brothers were not nice to him. And maybe we made an issue out of that. And now here we are dealing with ISKCON Bangalore or the Ritviks. And now what do we have to say now? Who is the culprit? So that's not the idea, that whoever is bigger is better. So it's neither big is good or small is good, but is close to Krishna is good. So those devotees who are chanting the names of Krishna, they have got a misconception, and they may be preaching, they are preaching, not maybe, they are preaching. That's good. In one sense, it's good for, like, we have good competition. So that good competition is always good for Krishna, for ISKCON. It's like monopoly was never a good idea. Like, if you want to preach, monopoly doesn't work. If you have good competition, healthy competition, then that keeps us on our toes. And at the very end, as I will simply repeat what Ananda Limaji has to say, we have to say, this is Krishna's arrangement. And what Krishna has in store for this, what plan Krishna is trying to execute, we might have to wait and see how it unravels. Only time can tell. Many things which we might not be able to understand right now, we'll have to wait to see what Krishna has in store for us. But whatever he has in store for us, one thing is sure, that Gaudiya Vaishnavism is not going to be rolled back for coming time. So, and under whatever banner it might be going, but one thing is for sure, that the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's words, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, is a reality.
So I mean, I just had one question in this regard. That, like Mataji, you told that ye thamam prapadyante, this would apply for the leaders. But regarding the followers, so what would be their destination? I mean, for them also this thing applies. Ye thamam prapadyante, like Prabhupada said, that those who want to be cheated, they get cheaters. I mean, is this thing apply to them also?
I cannot say cheated in that sense. It's something like we are not attached to, we are associating with someone because something match, right? Otherwise we don't get along with that person. So there is something, some frequency that has been matching of them and theirs, and that's to their credit.
So, but will they be getting, devotional benefit? I mean, will the devotional account be accrued with positive credits, or, I mean,
Well, see, devotional credit, even like we saw yesterday, even if simply one chants even once the name of Krishna, he is to be considered a devotee. So devotional credit one may get, one will get by chanting. Okay. But then the thing is, where are we going? What's the goal? We are just seeing the in between process. Where they will go, nobody knows. That only Krishna knows.
Do we know where we are going? Actually, yeah, that's being like too much judgmental about people. Like,
Yeah.
It's just very difficult. Yeah, it's dangerous also.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that if we are convinced that this is the process that we have to follow, and just keep doing that, and Krishna will show us the right path. And then even if whatever we see things around happening like this, we won't be what's the word, not distracted. Like, that won't take us away. It will, these questions will not even come in our mind. Like, oh, this person is doing that one. If we are convinced in our way, what we are doing and what we are committed to is the right thing, and this will take us back home, back to Godhead, that's good enough. And we just keep doing that, following the the scriptures and what is being given by our acharyas. So I think that that's the secret to success back home, back to God. Because otherwise we'll be just it's good to know all these things around what's happening, and then keep ourselves in the track where we need to be. That's very important. I mean, we shouldn't be like, blindfolded that, things like that. Yes, we should be aware of what's happening, but be very clear, have a clarity of who we are, where we are going, and what we need to reach to go back home. That's all. That's ultimately it's between I and Krishna.
Yeah, and Mataji, I was asking, like, from the preaching point of view, that if we encounter such devotees, of course, those who know, the word deeply engrossed in their philosophy, them we cannot preach, but those who are neophytes in their, in that ritual system, and when we encounter such a person, so regarding, convincing them of what is the fact and what is the real thing, or preaching to them. I mean, I wanted to know about this
See,
aspect.
if it is that someone's service to preach, then preach accordingly. But something that which is not your service, then it's then don't bother with that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Got it.
Yes, Rastraman Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. I would like to add just 2 points to this going on discussion. First of all, we should make a healthy comparison between our ISKCON and their Akshay Patra and all that. Of course, like you said, uh, from preaching point of view, like Radhe Radhadar Prabhu is highlighting, from preaching point of view, of course, it is very much necessary to know others' philosophies also. So always go for the healthy comparison, and always we should leave something to the other persons also. Go and check yourself. Check our ISKCON and check their ISKCON, where you get the quality and ultimate benefit. And last point, but not the least, we must not forget our origin, from where we are attached. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. I don't see any hands up. Okay. All right. So what's the time now? I think we have covered all the points of text 5 and 6. And on Monday, we will take text 7 and 8. Let's see how much. We have got 3 days. Maybe we can finish it off in 2 days. Let's see how it goes. But it shouldn't take more time. And all of you have noted down your essay question, I believe, that day I mentioned. So probably it was already shared with you all. So maybe you can work on the weekend and things like that. So we'll see you on Monday at 7 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.